Hello, Jamie from Inky&Scrappy, back with a joyful Christmas card for Craft Roulette number 244. So I pulled out some Trinity stamps, Modern Emboss A2 stack, and then of course the Christmas Roses paper stack that was a freebie from, I think it was scrapbook.com, either last year or the year before. And I'm using those dies to kind of center and cut out that focal image for the front of my card. And then I just kind of picked a couple of patterned papers that would coordinate well with for the rest of my card. So I hadn't actually made a joyful card before. So I started with just a piece of paper, so a regular sheet of paper, cut it in half, and then I will score it at 4¼ inches to make my A2 size card base. I should say base, but it really ended up being my card front because I ended up adding another card base onto the back of the front. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, it might not. I understand. So here I'm just going to score it at that 4¼ and then I'll fold that over. So I haven't actually made a joyful card before. There are many options available to you. I decided to go with a super simple, straightforward one because obviously it was my first. Secondly, it was for Craft Roulette, so I kind of wanted to make it, I was trying to get it done in a timely manner. My camera is zoomed in where it's zoomed in only because everything else on my desk that's the only amount of room I had cleared. Yeah. Please tell me at Christmas time I'm not the only one that has that same issue and or problem. So I'm taking that card base that I had made and then I'm cutting off, I think I cut about 1¼ inch off or so because I don't remember. So ultimately I cut a little bit off of the front and then I made sure that my piece was going to be, easy to cut down. So I cut down a piece of pattern paper to stick on to the front here. And then I'll line that all up, smooth that out. I just adhered it with some glitter art glue. Stuck it down good, and then I will move on to my next set. So here I'm just putting in a piece of pattern paper to fit on the inside of that card front. So that way I have, pattern on top of pattern. I don't have just plain paper there. So once I have Santa cut out, I'm going to bring in some bolder red pattern. I wanted something that was going to be brighter, and so therefore I brought in the red. I also was going to bring in some gorgeous velvet ribbon, but it was just going to be really, if I would have kept it flat, I probably would have used it because it's gorgeous. But I like to mail my cards and I wanted to tie it in a bow, and I was like, that's going to be way too bulky to mail. So I ended up switching it out later on. But I found the red that was going to work the best with my image here. And then I'm just kind of measuring. I didn't want to do another, I just cut it with the die, with the blade instead of the die, because I didn't want it to be as big of a border on there, I guess. So I'm just cutting that other piece of paper back down. So that was, the other half of my 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. Cutting that down to size, so basically, it's going to be a little bit smaller than my original A2. And then I'm going to put this one together kind of backwards. I know, doesn't seem right. But, so kind of like the opposite way you would open a normal card. Don't ask me. It's my first joyful card. I'm just winging it here. So I put Santa on the front here, and then I will decide at this point that I need to kind of add in either some pattern paper here or, because it was just way too stark, and so I needed to bring in another pattern. So I thought about doing the Santa on the inside. I don't remember what I ended up doing here. Well, let's see. I think I ended up going with that one. because this one I could at least get that Christmas wishes on to the inside, kind of working with my dies here to get it where it was going to sit in between the lines, kind of how I wanted it. And yes, indecision is my specialty, so of course I hemmed and hawed. I did end up deciding to go with that one. Of course, I decided I also needed to cover up, you know, all of the cream that was my paper underneath. So I kind of just winged it on the rest of it. I wasn't as particular. I just figured I'd come in with the scissors and cut it off straight. Once I was happy with kind of where it was headed, and I kind of knew what I was, envisioning at this point, it was a little bit easier. Bringing in the Guillotine Trimmer to cut everything straight works really well because, my scissors handling skills are subpar at best. So for this piece, I cut it at 3.5 by 4 3/4. So that's, what my inside card, or my inside of the joy fold, I don't know. I don't understand all the parts. Anyways, that's what this size card that's going to get adhered onto the front inside of my card. Yeah, I hope you're as confused as I am at this point. Sorry. So I'm going to mount my inside piece here on to some of that red with a little bit more of a border on this one, just because I wanted to stay inside the border on my image here. So I will add that kind of on the center of my card base, glue that down, and then I have Santa that folds in on the other one. And so this is where I was like, yep, I'm going to use this. It's going to be great. And I realized it's going to be great until I end up tying it, and it's going to get super thick. So I thought about bringing in a metal buckle and doing it that way, but I didn't want it to be too difficult to open either. So I ended up abandoning the gorgeous ribbon. Maybe if I'd have just added it and not used it as the closure for my Joyfold card, it probably would have worked. But ultimately, I ended up bringing in some seam binding ribbon. It's super thin, and, it just kind of works well. It'll fold. I shouldn't say it'll fold, but it smooshes down fairly flat, so it's not too big of a deal to mail. I'll still have to put like a piece of paper over the top, so it's not too bulky, but it'll end up working and it'll look all right. I did end up taking I don't know, it's like a little torch with a little flame on it after the fact, and then I torched the cut edges so they didn't fray, because they just kept fraying. So I didn't put that on camera, but if you're wondering how to fix that, I also have like the ribbon cutting thing, but I think it needs new batteries. It's not working the greatest right now. So I brought in some score style tape to put on the whole back. No, the whole back. I just put 3 pieces onto the back of my card front here. Because yes, I do end up mounting this one onto another A2 card base. So it's kind of like 3 cards in one. Yeah. The joys of all the folds. Maybe that's why it's called Joy Fold. I don't know. So I still had the family parameter to hit for my craft roulette make. And so I was looking, and I looked high and low. It probably took me longer to find the sentiment that I couldn't find. Yeah. So I ended up going with have a magical holiday season, and then I just ended up using from all of us to, from all of us as my family, quote unquote, element. I mean, I guess the one piece of paper, the backside had a family of deer on it, so that would work too, right? Yeah. Anyway, so my craft roulette parameters this week were a Joyfold card with quiet and bold colors. So the soft colors, the pastels are very soft. And then, of course, that bold red and there kind of pops. And then, of course, the family is from all of us and the ribbon to tie it all closed. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Sorry it didn't make it up before Christmas, but will maybe get on some Christmas cards this year before the end of the year. Have a great one. Bye.